The verb ir is a very important verb in Spanish. It means to go, as you can see here, and it's used in a couple of different ways. Ir is used to talk about going to a location, and it's also used to talk about future actions by saying we are going to do something. So in the sense of going to a location, we're talking about physical movement. In the sense of going to do something, again, we're not talking about motion or movement necessarily, but something that will happen in the future. In this tutorial, we're only going to talk about using ir to talk about going to a location. In another tutorial, we'll talk about going to do something in the future. As with many of the most important verbs in Spanish, the verb ir is irregular, so it's not going to follow our regular rules for conjugating. So let's take a look at the forms of ir in the present tense. Here are the forms of ir in the present tense. Now this takes a little bit of studying and memorization because, as you can see, these don't look anything like the verb ir itself. So we have yo voy, tú vas, él va, ella va, usted va. Nosotros vamos. If we're in Spain, we'd say vosotros vais. And ellos, ellas, or ustedes van. Again, you'll have to study these, memorize these, because it's an extremely important verb and they are obviously pretty irregular. So it's going to take some work on your part, but you can do it. Let's practice a little bit. Here I've put a few locations for us to practice with, and we will use these locations in some of our practice sentences. Here we have, I am going to the store, and again we can check down here and we see that the store is la tienda. Now one thing that I need to mention is that when we use ir, we're going to have to find the correct form off of the verb chart here, but we also almost always have to have the word a, which in this case means to. So yo blank a la tienda. We need the yo form, which we know is this form right here. It's on the first row on the left-hand column. We have yo voy a la tienda. Wherever it is that we're going, we're going to have a form of ir, and then normally we will have to have the word a as well, which again in this case means to. And then we have our location. Here's another example. My friends are going to school. Mis amigos blank a la escuela. Again, we see that we have a for to, and then our location, which in this case is la escuela. Now my friends, or mis amigos, that's third person, so we know we're going to be on the third row of our verb chart here. And it is plural, so we'll be on the right side, which is the plural side of the verb chart. Which means that our form of ir for the sentence is van. Mis amigos van a la escuela. And one more example, we are going to Miguel's house. Nosotros, that's first person because I'm in the group. It's plural because it includes not just me, but at least one other person. So that means we're going to use vamos. Nosotros vamos a la casa de Miguel. So again, the principal ways that we use ir are to talk about going to a location, which is what we talked about in this video, and going to do something in the future. There are other ways that ir can be used. There are some slight modifications to what we've said, but this gives you a good foundation for starting to use the verb ir, which again is an extremely important verb in Spanish.